Tobias wasn't your typical kid. Instead of playing outside, he was in a dusty attic, surrounded by springs and gears. While others chased balls, he chased dreams of building wild machines, clocks that could reveal weather secrets, tide pools, and even moods. One quiet evening, while trying to fix an old pocket watch, Tobias found a hidden message: turn the hands at midnight, and the path shall open. Intrigued, he waited for midnight, his heart racing, and with a shaky hand, he twisted the tiny hands of the watch. The gentle ticking turned into a loud thunder. Suddenly, golden sparks exploded from the watch, pulling Tobias into a wild whirlpool of gears, tumbling him through time and space in a dazzling light show. When the spinning stopped, Tobias found himself in a city straight out of his wildest dreams. Towers spun on giant wheels, their tips glimmering in the light. Bridges moved up and down with a rhythmic click, and the trees swayed like they had their own groove. Above it all, a massive clock floated in the sky, its hands moving with smooth precision. "Welcome to the Clockwork Kingdom." He wandered in awe, eyes wide, as mechanical birds with jeweled eyes zipped by and carriages glided silently, powered by whirring pistons. It felt like a tinkerer's paradise. But then, a grating sound echoed beneath the streets. The grand clock shuddered, its hands jerking around. The people weren't celebrating. They rushed by, worry etched on their faces. A girl in shiny copper goggles popped up next to him. "You're not from around here, right? I'm Lyra, an apprentice timekeeper. Our kingdom's in trouble. The great gears of time are broken, and if they stop, everything does." A mix of fear and excitement surged through Tobias. This wasn't just a breakdown. It was the most complex machine he'd ever seen. "I can help," he said confidently. Lyra's eyes sparkled with hope as she grabbed his hand. "Come on, we don't have much time." She pulled him into the Hall of Cogs, a massive chamber filled with gears the size of houses. But it was a mess. Many wheels were stuck, shooting out sparks, while others screeched as they ground against each other. Tobias knelt next to a broken giant, his tinkering instincts kicking in. He pulled out a trusty screwdriver from his pocket and tested a loose plate. The gear shifted slightly, and it felt like the city itself recognized his touch. "The gears, they respond to you," Lyra gasped, her voice filled with a new sense of wonder. Maybe that's why the watch brought you here. You're the one who can fix it." Tobias, with Lyra's help, began fixing the river of pendulums. The giant arms were still, but after tightening bolts and adjusting weights, he brought them back to life, filling the air with a comforting tick-tock. They headed to the forest of springs, where huge springs wrapped around brass trees. These springs kept the forest alive, but many had come undone, making it dull. Tobias carefully wound each one, listening for that sweet hum that meant it was just right. As he tightened them, the forest lit up, and tiny sparks danced in the leaves. The biggest challenge was still ahead. Deep in the mountains was the central gear, a massive wheel that kept the kingdom turning. But it was failing. Half its teeth were broken, moving in a painful stutter. Guarding it was a creature of shadow and regret, a haunting mix of wasted time, part clock hand and part swirling smoke. "You cannot fix what is lost," the shadow hissed, its voice a chorus of forgotten moments. "Time wasted can never be returned." A cold fear gripped Tobias, but Lyra's warm squeeze reminded him he wasn't alone. Those lonely hours in the attic? They weren't wasted. They'd prepared him for this very moment. Tobias stood tall, his voice full of determination. "Sure, we can't get lost time back," he said, locking eyes with the shadow. "But we can fix what's ahead." He pulled out the old pocket watch, feeling its warmth. Spotting a hollow in the central gear, he slid the watch in like a key and twisted its hands. A burst of golden light shot from the gear cracks, and the shadow creature screamed in pain as it was torn apart. It fizzled into sparks, chased away by the hope of a brighter future. The giant wheel shuddered, groaned, and then clicked into motion, spinning faster with its newly fixed teeth gleaming in the light. The Clockwork Kingdom came alive. Towers spun, gears flowed smoothly, and the big clock in the sky ticked steadily. From the streets, joyful cheers filled the air as people flooded the squares, celebrating the triumphant sound of 1,000 bells ringing out. Lyra laughed, her face bright with relief and happiness. You did it, Tobias. You saved the kingdom. Before he could respond, the pocket watch glowed, tugging him back to his world. Lyra waved, her copper goggles shining. Don't forget us, inventor boy. And remember, your time matters. Tobias found himself back in his attic as dawn broke. The pocket watch ticked steadily in his hands. Everything looked the same, but he realized that no moment is wasted if it's spent learning or dreaming. Time isn't just for clocks. It's about making and filling it. From that day on, Tobias poured his heart into his inventions. Late at night, when he fiddled with his pocket watch, he could almost hear the magical tick-tock of the Clockwork Kingdom, alive and spinning forever. Thanks for joining me on this awesome journey. If you loved it, like, subscribe, and tap that bell for our next adventure.